My name is Jose Jimenez. I actually discovered Zambawango shortly after the bakery opened about 2-3 years ago. The reason I found it was because it's important for my health. I have lived with diabetes since 2000 when I was diagnosed with the illness. And one of the biggest challenges any diabetic faces, and I face it too, is finding the right things to eat, the right diet, so that we can control the illness. What George and Zambawango provided was beyond that. Obviously, any one of us can go to the grocery store, read the grocery information, and make decisions about what is right for our diets. But I feel that Zambawango took that to another level. I remember being in awe of all of the various baked goods that I could buy that I felt did not compromise what I wanted to eat. Yes, there's always compromising when you are dieting for diabetes or whatever, but I really like the fact that I could come in here and look at a selection of pastries, both every day and for celebrations like birthdays. And these pastries I could consume. I was very aware at every turn. You know, if you're a diabetic, you know how important this is. Of the carbohydrates that I was consuming, they were always low, but I always wanted to know. So the nutrition information was in front of me, and the baked goods were really, really good. So I became a patron of this bakery almost since the beginning. Then a couple of years ago, I was in one of my Zambawango raids when I walked into the shop. I had just recently opened my own business. It's a print and sign company in Sandy Springs. I also have a second location in East Point. So obviously in that business, I'm always interested in learning and understanding who the business owners are, the decision makers that could buy, sign, and print from us. And I saw this guy, kind of tall, kind of bald, and obviously in charge. So I went up and introduced myself, both as a client of his and talked to him a little bit about my new business, right up Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. George immediately became interested, and we struck up a conversation shortly after. And it has been really a privilege to continue to help George in his marketing of his products. And I always tell him, I always smile because I tell him, you cannot go out of business, man, because what you created here has saved my life. So whatever I have to do to help you, I will do. So the very first thing we did was his menu. Now the menu I'm about to show you, which we printed recently, is probably version number 3 or 4 of what we have produced over the last few years. We've also done, George does a bang-up business with mailing his pastries across the country, and we've done thank you cards that he inserts in those, etc. But so as I said, it really is a privilege to work with him and his team to advance the interests of the business. But as I mentioned, and based on my story, this is all about self-interest in a way. I want to make sure that this store continues to be successful, continues to put baked goods that I can consume and my family can consume and my friends, because they are fantastic. And I have finally found a place where I don't need to compromise on taste or texture when it comes to the baked goods that I buy from home. And that helps me tremendously for my life. So I hope that this is helpful to you, and come and get it, because it's here, right here on Abernathy in Sandy Springs. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'll sign off for now.